So, YouTube, it's Tuesday night. It's a little after 8 o'clock. My name is Anthony Sika. I am a independent artist, musician, writer. I make comic books for fun. Um, I'm sorry about this weird glare. Um, yes, it does look like I'm just emanating light and joy and positivity and love. But I'm actually drawing, and I'm using a desk lamp to draw. Here's what I'm drawing so far. Some tanks and Misty America. I'm finishing up a possible splash page and or variant cover or a pinup. Misty America. Um, I have been promoting that I was going to be rolling her out on July 4th. It's Independence Day, and I make indie comics, and the character's name is Misty America. And but I might be delayed a day or two. So the week of July 4th, maybe through the 4th through the 9th, I'll be starting a some sort of crowdfunding campaign, I believe, um, on Indiegogo, possibly. I know I'm being vague, but again, you know what? I make my own comics, and I make them because I love doing them, and I have the right to change my mind every now and then. But what I can say is the comic is coming along great. I have 3 covers done, and I have 10 pages done with about 11 or 12 more to go. I'm actually warming up right now. I'm going to be inking another page after the stream tonight. And while I was sitting here um, warming up with this alternative cover, pin-up, possible splash page in the book, I wanted to bring up a topic that has been kind of bugging me. And if anyone's watching the chat or they'd like to chime in, feel free. I've been seeing a lot of. I mean, it's not a new thing, but I've been seeing a lot of what do we call celebrity status being given to comic book creators, especially writers, and I kind of don't understand where this is coming from. And let me go back and saying I was literally thinking about the Warren Ellis situation. Hot take: I don't think Warren Ellis did anything wrong or does anything wrong or was wrong at all. However, I do think he's creepy and he's kind of an asshole, but aren't we all? But what I want to know is Warren Ellis, who's, by the way, like, I'm 50 years old, and I don't know, I'm not any Brad Pitt, but you know what? You know, I think I look like Brad Pitt compared to Warren Ellis. With that said, I'm curious to know how Warren Ellis turned a career in writing comics into being pretty much a rock star, using his influence or women who wanted a piece of his shine. Literally comic book groupies sleeping with this dude. I don't get it. I don't get the fascination with the whole Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, Brian Michael Bendis, Donny Cates. I don't, Tom King, Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, Matt Fraction, Gail Simone, Kelly Sue DeConnick. The list goes on and on. Now, I'm not speaking politically. I don't care whether you're in Comicsgate or you're in SJW. I don't understand the idea of comic creators being wannabe rock stars. Makes no sense. Let me tell you why it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because no one outside of comic book fandom knows who the fuck these people are. And that's another topic. It's been said a lot by other YouTube pontificators and folks that have discourse nightly about this kind of subjects. I don't know when working in comics was not important enough to actually write and draw good comics, especially on the writer's side. It seems like if you're a comic book writer, especially those working for the Images of the world, it just seems like you're using comic books as a stepping stone to write screenplays or to get a Netflix special or to get some sort of licensing bullshit, whatever. Whereas guys from the Bronze Age, guys and gals from the Bronze Age, and classic artists are still looking for work and are not being employed by Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, Boom, etc., etc. And I know this is a topic that's not new to anybody, but it just seems that there was a time when, first off, writers were really not that important. Even in the classic Bronze Age, I could care less if Chris Claremont was writing X-Men, as long as John Byrne was drawing X-Men. I couldn't give a rat's ass who was writing Fantastic Four, but I did care if George Perez or John Byrne or Walt Simonson were drawing for Fantastic Four. Terry Austin. Hey, Agent DeCamp. The garage sale went great. Fantastic. Had a garage sale this past weekend. Kind of knocked the crap out of me. But sold a lot of stuff, man. Sold a lot of stuff. Did real well. Agent DeCamp, I guess you're the gentleman I met. Verify that. Are you the gentleman I met the night before looking at some comics? Yes, John Byrne is the second king of comics. The first king being Jack Kirby, of course. But that bring Agent DeCamp. Very nice, Agent. Did you like him? Yep. All right. Well, stick around. Let's chat. What I was going to say is, Agent DeCamp brings me to the point of my conversation. Writers today think they're wannabe rock stars. They think they're rock stars, not wannabe rock stars. They think they're rock stars. And I notice now when DC and Marvel solicit books, they don't even mention the artists anymore. Um, they they just say, "Here's this new Bendis book." Michael Bendis. Here's his new book. They fail to mention that Ivan Reyes is drawing it, and Ivan Reyes is a superior artist, probably one of the best DC has. But they don't talk about that. They'll talk about a new Dan Slott. Um, let me show some of Mr. DeCamp's comments here. Thank you for your chat. Nice Razor fan, Helena. But Agent DeCamp brings up a good point. And why is it that writers in modern comics are the stars and the artists are the co-stars or the B talent? It doesn't make sense. Comic books are a visual medium. And being a visual medium, you could go back to that classic G.I. Joe with Larry Hama, where there is no dialogue. There are no word balloons. There are no speeches, no descriptions, no editor's notes. And you can even go back further. Maybe the couple pages that inspired that whole G.I. Joe book. Exactly. You got it. There you go, Agent DeCamp. As I'm wearing my Spider-Man McFarlane shirt, he brings up a good point. They don't want Image to happen again. And I'll get on that in a minute. And that's actually the reason for this little stream while I'm drawing tonight. Again, usually I have movie reviews or I have book reviews or whatever, but I thought I'd just talk off the cuff tonight. But the thing is that the writers are taking the main stage. They're the headlining act. They're the rock stars. And the artists are the support acts. They're the opening band. But you know what? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, Todd McFarlane puts out a Spider-Man, sells 3 million copies. Rob Liefeld puts out X-Force 1, sells 5.6, 5.5 million copies. Then Jim Lee, 2 or 3 months later, sells 8 million copies. All right. And then Rob Liefeld, who is today's Stan Lee. Even though he doesn't work for Marvel, he probably should, because he promotes the hell out of Marvel and its legacy. He's always promoting Deadpool and Cable and everything he's doing. He posts something about, hey, I'm real, it may have been clapping his own back or patting himself on the back, but you know what? He has a right to. Because, Rob Liefeld, whether you like him or not, Todd McFarlane, whether you like him or not, Jim Lee, whether you like him or not, these guys are rock stars. Dan Slott, come back after you've sold 1 million or 2 copies of anything. Okay? Dan Slott, who is just a boiled potato with a word processor. Dan Slott, come on, man. You suck. Oh, did I say that out loud? Whatever. Also, Scott Snyder, Tom King, you guys are like remind me of Stephen King novels. You don't know how to end your runs. Um, and by the way, you're just the writer, man. You know, Stan Lee. He Stan Lee would be nothing without Jack Kirby. Stan Lee would have been nothing without Steve Ditko. Does that diminish Stan Lee's contribution? No. But let me tell you something. I am not Stan Lee and I am not Jack Kirby. But if you asked me, if you gave me 24 pages of finished art right now and told me to write it's nice to see you back, Agent. Agent, if I knew you were going to be chatting with me, I would have invited you to join the conversation. If you anyway, let me maybe send you an invite. If I had your email, I'd send you an invite. Anyway, next time I'm doing this, I'll invite you in for a chat. You and me could share a screen and talk Bronze and Silver Age. Oh, I don't know how to do that yet. All right, well, we'll chat. I'll text you tomorrow and tell you how to do it. All you need is a cell phone, man. But getting back on track of my thought, Dan Slott came out criticizing Rob Liefeld. You got people like Scott Snyder, Tom King making a lot of noise about, comic skaters and artists and all this crap all the time. And by the way, getting back to my point, I create comic books. I'm no Stan Lee or Jack Kirby, but man, you give me 24 pages of art and I'm going to spend 15 minutes writing something. Okay? And you're just filling in the blanks, man. It's a visual medium. Visual. Without the artwork, just write a fucking book. And by the way, here's another hot take. Half of the writers that I meet, bunch of pretentious fucks. Some I've even interviewed. Some I've met at conventions. They show up at their table and they're like, hey, I'm the creator of this comic. And guess what? They got a penciler, an inker, a colorist, a letterer. Dude, what are you doing, man? Or lady? What are you doing? You're not doing any work. But your name's on the fucking masthead. Okay? It's blah blah's book. You know what? Just get with it, man. Just get over yourselves. You're not rock stars. All right? You're not rock stars. You're not even the tour manager. You're not even a roadie. Get over yourself. Sell 5 million copies of something? Be on the red carpet with Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin like Rob Liefeld will be? Then you can call yourself a rock star. Create characters like Marv Wolfman and George Perez. Okay? It's like one of the only slabs I own. Okay? Create Nightwing, Jericho. Create the origin of Deathstroke. Create Deathstroke. Then you can call yourself a rock star. Draw this shit like John Byrne. Okay? Forget writing the shit. Draw this shit. And then you can call yourself a rock star. Or how about be Dave Cockrum? Fucking create the visuals for the X-Men. Along with Chris Claremont, by the way. No one's diminishing Chris Claremont. No one's diminishing Tom King even. But get over yourselves. You're not rock stars. Okay? No one cares what the fuck you think about politics or Black Lives Matter or vaccines or non-vaccines or COVID. No one cares what you think about Star Wars or the latest movie coming out. You know, just get over yourself, Tom King. You're go back to the CIA, where you're a real rock star. But you know what? Anybody picked up Batman number 50 can say that you're not a rock star. You know, and you want to read a real Batman Catwoman? Go read Ethan Van Sciver and Ann Nocenti's Batman Catwoman Trail of the Gun. Go read that if you want to read a real Batman Catwoman story. But the thing is, and again, I apologize for this glare. I'm drawing right now, or trying to while I rant. But yes, John Byrne can write up a storm. Tom King, yeah, Tom King's vision was good. You know, Tom King has a lot of good stuff. Tom King, you know, but this isn't a bash Tom King show. Tom King actually started. Tom King started Batman very good, but he kind of fell off somewhere, you know, and that's because these guys, they think about other stuff. In other words, they want to be rock stars, but they're really pop princesses. Like I said, they are fickle. They can't focus. You know, they're never going to get to 300 issues like Dave Sims. They're not going to get to 320 right now like Todd McFarlane. They're not even going to get to 100 issues like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott. Joe Sinnott, Jack Kirby, those guys are rock stars. Steve Ditko, Jim Steranko was a real rock star, okay, and still is. And by the way, Jim Steranko wrote, penciled, inked, colored, did creative director, did everything, edited it. You know who's a rock star writer? Roy Thomas, Stan Lee, Denny O'Neil. Here, you wanna hear a hot take, ladies and gentlemen? My two people watching this, I'm gonna lose you. I think Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman and Vertigo Comics kind of helped kill comic books. Wow, it was a hot take, Anthony. Let me explain. Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, to some extent Grant Morrison. When comic books got too wordy and it wasn't about action anymore, and you just spent a whole graphic novel of people talking to themselves, you know, instead of Gene Colan's fantastic rooftop escapades with Daredevil and classic fighting. I think that hurt comic books. I think it hurt the industry. And at that point, speaking of Daredevil, before that you had Frank Miller, who could write and draw. Kid Ragnarok. Has there been a weird flip of writers being super celebrated and artists? Yeah. Kid Ragnarok, who's just joining me earlier in my little rant tonight, I was talking about it's the writers are the headlining band and the artists are the opening act. And there's no reason for it. It's a visual medium. You got to draw shit on boards. You got to tell a story. You have to tell a story on 11 by 17 board. And anybody can write dialogue. In fact, I think the cashier working at the racetrack gas station down the road can write dialogue for today's comic books. People are just sitting around. Yes, you're right, Agent DeCamp. Interiors need to be done by the same. The cover artist should be the interior artist, because, as I like to say, the carpet never matches the drapes, and we know that that's kind of important, don't we, guys? Or maybe it's not. Sometimes it's wood floors and there are no carpets, if you know what I mean. But the truth of the matter, and I'd like to welcome Kid Ragnarok. I don't know if you've been on my channel before. Please subscribe and please hit the like button. It looks like you and Agent DeCamp are having a private conversation, and that's cool too. I would like Agent DeCamp maybe next week to join me to talk about some more comic book issues. Maybe we'll do a little Bronze review. But getting back to the subject, you guys are dead on, and you guys are feeling what I'm putting out. Every book that's solicited is always like, here's a new Hulk by Donny Cates, or here's Brian Michael Bendis' Superman, or whatever book he's ruining this month. Here's this person. Here's whatever. And by the way, it's the same way on the indie circuit. Okay, go to the conventions. I've been to conventions. I'm not going to name names, but I walk around with these bunch of guys and girls who, again, they have their name on a booth. They're guest artists at a convention. Guest creators, guest artists, whatever. They don't do anything but pay the bills. They have, oh, dude, Beyond Marvel and DC. Oh, all right, there you go. My good buddy at Beyond Marvel and DC. As I was saying, these guys and gals, they got these tables at conventions. They got booths. They got their little signs. And all they do is write checks. They created a character, but they got inkers and pencilers and colorists and letterers and then 20 different variant covers. And all they do is post on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, oh, I gotta work on my book today. Okay, I wrote, you know what? Again, I'm no Neil Gaiman. I'm no Alan Moore. I'm not even a whatever. But the point is, I wrote 6 or 7 issues of my book, Oh My God, in like an afternoon. It's not hard. You just write words on a piece of paper. What's hard is setting up panels, storyboards, and stuff. Terry Moore's great, and again, creator own shit, creator run shit. My favorite comics, not that I'm anybody, are comics that are created by someone like me. What it is you know what, you're self-contained. You're like a real indie band. You write your own material. I'd rather be the Beatles than Elvis, because Elvis didn't write his own songs. He just performed them. Okay? I'd rather be the Beatles or Johnny Cash or Bob Dylan, because I'm writing them, I'm performing them, I'm recording them. And you know what? It may not be technically the best. It may not be even commercially the best, but it's always sincere. I really believe that if you can't draw, maybe you shouldn't even write comics. I mean, Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, they were writing and drawing their own shit. Frank Miller, Sin City. You know what? Frank Miller's not using anybody on Sin City but himself. He's fucking doing that with a pen and paper. And, the Hernandez brothers. Tim Vigil. all these folks, stop. You're not rock stars, okay? The artists are the rock stars. You writers, you may be the roadies, maybe you're the tour manager, maybe you're the keyboard player, all right? Writers, you are the backup rhythm guitarist, and John Byrne, George Perez, Jim Starlin, Frank Miller, all those guys, girls, anybody creating books for themselves, by themselves, those are the Mick Jaggers and the Steven Tylers and the Robert Plants and the Jimmy Pages and the David Gilmours and the Paul Stanleys and the Gene Simmons. You're not rock stars. Get over yourselves. Dan Slott, Rob Liefeld sells more books a month than you've sold in your whole career. All right? X-Force 1 and Youngblood 1 alone probably eclipses your sales by a gazillion. And guess what? It doesn't matter, because you're not headlining Ozfest. You're going into the office and producing the latest issue of Spider-Man or Fantastic Four. You know, Kid Ragnarok makes a good point. The difference is when it's sincere, it's noticeable. That's right. Sincerity is key in art. You know, it's key. Agent DeCamp says, I like some stylized art, but I have to be able to see what's there, not have to figure out what they're drawing. Yeah, you're right. And, you know, you're not going to have that problem with John Byrne or Jack Kirby or Walt Simonson or anybody. Let me tell you something. Speaking of rock stars, Walt and Louis Simonson are rock stars. They just did an issue of, was it X-Men Legends or whatever, with a cover by Rob Liefeld, by the way. Those three people should be working every month on a Marvel title. Walt Simonson, Louise Simonson, Jim Starlin, Neil Adams, John Byrne, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee. Jim Lee, why aren't you drawing a monthly comic for DC? Where's this year's Hush? Jeff Johns is a rock star. Or at least he was. Still is. But guess what? That Jeff Johns book, Three Jokers, it was good, but it'd be shit if Jason Fabok wasn't drawing it. Kid Ragnarok, all heavy hitters. Again, John Byrne should be drawing the X-Men. Walt Simonson should be drawing Thor. You know, Chris Claremont, speaking of rock stars, right? Rockstar writers. What are you doing, Chris? Every now and then he writes like 10 pages or so for Marvel. Major X last year. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Pandemic has screwed up with my timeline. Major X by Rob Liefeld should be an ongoing series by Rob Liefeld. Okay? Sell some comics. Everybody in the comic book industry is trying to figure out why manga has taken over comics, trying to figure out why no one's reading comics, or not as many people are reading comics. Trying to figure out why the audience is leaving. That's right. That's right, Ragnarok. Fabok did make that book. Because again, Fabok's got that Brian Boland type style, that Gary Frank type style. Gary Frank should be doing a book. And I know he just did Batman, what is it, Earth 1, Part 4, or whatever, Year 1, whatever it is. I know that. But Gary Frank should be doing a book every month. And yeah, Agent DeCamp, manga doesn't push an agenda on you, but I'm getting past the politics a little bit. Here's what I'd like to know. And I'm gonna sum up this. I'm gonna make this a short stream tonight, but I gotta talk about, I brought up the Rockstar analogy for a reason. Paul McCartney is the legendary rock star. Paul McCartney still makes records and tours alongside people like Taylor Swift and the Foo Fighters and Metallica and whoever else is on the charts. And there's still room for Paul McCartney. There's still room for Justin Timberlake. There's still room if Britney Spears ever gets out of her confinement, puts a record out. There's room for Taylor Swift, who's, believe it or not, been playing music for 15 years. It's not just about the new crowd. Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, Godsmack, Motley Crue, Poison, you name it. Bad examples. But anyway, you will turn on a rock radio station and you can hear Godsmack, which started their career in like 1994. You can hear them on the radio with the latest rock band, Royal Blood or whoever. 21 Pilots, some new flash in the pan, trendy top 40 people. There's room for the old guard and the new stuff. You know what? Movies. Tom Cruise making movies at like in his late 50s, early 60s. People like Jennifer Connelly co-starring in those movies. People like Robert De Niro still gets to make movies alongside Timothée Chalamet. All of the Avengers in the Marvel Universe, almost all of the stars are over the age of 40. And they're still in these movies and the stars of these movies. You don't need any 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds in the cinema. People will still go see real stars. People will still go listen to real rock stars. I mentioned the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters have been around since what, 95? And before that, Dave Grohl was in Nirvana since 1988. Okay, you're talking about, what, 35, 36 years. These are not new people, yet they're still relevant. For some reason, the comic book industry has made the legends, the rock stars, the true rock stars, the Simonsons, the Liefeld, John Byrne, Chris Claremont, Roy Thomas, Neil Adams, George Perez, Jim Steranko, whoever. Those people, they're not allowed to work in comics anymore. Agent DeCamp brought up a good point that if the artists were given that headlining spot on these rock tours, which I'm calling comic books a rock tour. So if you can imagine that the latest comic book or the latest line of Marvel and DC comic books is a festival lineup. The headliner is not the biggest name in comics. It's some writer who was in the CIA a few years with no experience in comic books, or had a creator-owned hot image title and now is the lead star of the whatever. Jonathan Hickman, when the new X-Men whole X of Swords, House of X, blah, blah, all that shit. And by the way, it is shit. When all that shit came out, no one talked about any of the artists. No one talked about the letterers. No one talked about what the characters looked like. All they talked about was who's writing it. Who the fuck cares who's writing it? Okay? You get George Perez to draw something, you could have, again, a gas station attendant at the racetrack, gas station here in Florida, writing the story. And still, people would buy it. Would some emo goth chick who's online with Warren Ellis buy it? Probably not. Would a 50-year-old man who spent probably 3/4 of every bit of dollars he's ever had, who's supported comic books since he was 6 years old, would he buy it? Yeah, I would. But you know what's funny is you wouldn't need anyone to write a George Perez story, because George Perez can write himself, and so can John Byrne, and so can Jim Starlin. Kid Ragnarok, Dark Knight's Metal, I was stupid enough to buy it. But you know who was the star of that? Greg Capullo. Because I didn't care what the story was saying. I just wanted to see Wonder Woman with a chainsaw. And I wanted to see Nightwing with mohawk and chains. And I like to see Batman. And you know what else? I like the fact that there was a Sergeant Rock in the story, even though he had Sergeant Rock written on his fucking head, which was stupid. But, again, in a sane world, DC, Marvel, and Image would make artists the priority. Because artists are what sell books. Writers are people that ruin books. Because guess what? No one, whether you're a 50-year-old comic skater or you're a 30-year-old SJW, no one's going to get offended by your art. Well, honestly, if you take a look at the art coming out here, it offends. It is offensive. But you're right, Agent DeCamp. The art is the hook. The art and the artist is the headlining band. The writer is the opening act. And they should act accordingly. And you should show some respect. But that's never going to change. Because Marvel isn't run by Stan Lee and Marty Goodman and doesn't have a bullpen anymore. Marvel is a bunch of pretentious millennials. What's up, Simply Incredible podcast? My buddy D. No movie review tonight, but I wanted to rant a little bit. If you're just joining me, I'm chatting with these fine fellows. I was drawing tonight. That's why we have this weird glare. I was doing a little drawing, finishing up a tank in the background of this picture. But I was talking about how, comic books are a visual medium. And the hook is definitely the artwork. The headlining band in today's comics is the writer. They're always talking about, hey, this is the latest Brian Michael Bendis book, or this is the latest Donny Cates book, or this is the latest Mark Millar or Robert Kirkman. And the truth, look at a small world. Everybody knows DeCamp. Look at that. Everybody knows Agent DeCamp. And Agent DeCamp was in my garage just the other night buying some comic books that I was selling at a garage sale. Art is what got me into comics, says Kid Ragnarok. Yeah, of course. I mean, when you're a kid, you don't get you don't like Batman because of what he's saying. You like him because of what he looks like. You don't like Wolverine because of his dialogue or his story arc. You fall in love with the visual. And truthfully, um, Daryl, you wanted some books? Daryl, I'll stream with you and show you what I still got for sale. You need to move down here. There's plenty of stores down here. You can see Simply Incredible podcast, the Big D. You can see him with me every Sunday night on the Cantonese Comic Kids Extreme Nerd Table. Sunday night, every Sunday at 9 p.m. We do a show with my good buddy Jeff in Tampa. He's got a great show. Me and Daryl co-host with him, along with a guy named Randall. Yes, Schnicht. I think you misspelled Schnicht. There's no CH. It's SNIKT. Snikt. But anyway, as again, Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, whoever, Len Wein, who came up with that stuff. They're not the rock stars. David Cockrum and John Byrne were the rock stars. Terry Austin was a big rock star, the inker for all the classic X-Men. You don't have a comic book industry today without John Byrne and Terry Austin. But if Len Wein was still writing Uncanny X-Men, still would have been good. Jim Starlin was writing it, still would have been good. Frank Miller was writing it, still would have been good. But again, rock stars, Dan Slott, Tom King, Scott Snyder, you are not rock stars. Jack Kirby, you're a rock star. You were a rock star, the biggest rock star. Stan Lee, you weren't as big a rock star as Jack Kirby, but you were a good opening act for the King. Roy Thomas, Jim Starlin, Denny O'Neil, Jim Shooter, Ron Friends, Dick Giordano. Dick Giordano is a rock star. Terry Austin, rock star. Neil Adams, still a rock star. All these folks, rock stars. The Flash in the Pan doing all the folks doing all the stuff for DC and Marvel today. You guys are the least rock star people I've ever seen. See that bass guitar back there? I don't mean to brag. Okay. I've opened for Blue Oyster Cult. My band has opened for Buck Cherry. My band has opened for Jackal. I once opened for Badfinger when the guys in Badfinger were still alive. I'm not a rock star. I was the opening act. Okay? I was the opening act. Writers, step the fuck aside and let real rock stars take over. If not, people like Dale Keown, don't fear the Reaper, Agent DeCamp. Dear sir or madam, will you read my book? It took years to write. Will you take a look? It's based on a story by a man named Lear, and I need a job, so I want to be a comic book writer. Comic book writer, step aside. Let the real stars take the stage. I vowed to never buy another Marvel comic book until I see a monthly title drawn by Rob Liefeld, drawn by John Byrne, maybe even drawn by Walt Simonson. Until then, you're not getting my money. DC. I don't even know where to tell you to start. You don't even have any classic artists anymore. Maybe Andy Kubert. Okay? Not Adam Kubert, Andy Kubert. Andy draws more like his dad than Adam does. No offense. But I need real artists. So when you're online and you're ordering shit from Billy Tucci and you're ordering shit from Dale Keown, okay, Agent DeCamp. All right, Agent DeCamp found my weakness. He found my kryptonite. Joel Jones. I started reading Joel Jones, Lady Killer. Okay? Joel Jones's Lady Killer led me to pick these up, led me to read the stuff she did with Tom King on Batman. She did, I think, 3 or 4 issues of Batman. Fantastic work. Maybe even more. I think maybe she did 6 issues. I was reading her Catwoman. And believe it or not, I liked her Infinite Crisis, whatever that was called, Infinite Universe, whatever, the new DC thing, when she did the Wonder Woman, and now it's going to be Wonder Girl. I actually did put that on my pull list. Because Joel Jones is such a good artist. And she's a good writer, too. And she's a woman, and she's got no agenda. In fact, if anything, Joel Jones is, I think, trapped in the 1950s. Both her aesthetic and her take on, society. She's very, she's like, everything looks like Mad Men, but cool. Even the modern stuff has a classic look. So yeah, I'm all aboard. Joel Jones is fantastic. And I would actually read anything she's drawing. I don't care what the subject, because her art is fantastic. And that's what I'm saying. You heard what I said, right? If you listen clearly, I don't care what she's writing about as long as I can look at her art. So that's the difference between a writer who's also an artist and your typical just writer, in that these writers aren't putting any priority on the art, and the art isn't selling the book. The art isn't selling the book, and your art needs to sell the book. Speaking of selling books, I am presently working on Misty America, putting some comp work together. Misty America, I'm going to be releasing Wild Mercury Comics. Misty America, going to be putting a book out hopefully by the end of August. I got 10 out of 10 pages done of the book. You like that nice segue? Again, you didn't spell segue right there either, Daryl, but that's okay. Misty America, #1, coming out. That ass. You like that ass? Yet, she does not skip leg day, Misty America. And got a bunch of, here's a new cover. I know Daryl's seen this, but here's a brand new cover for Misty America. I actually have this fully colored and set up as a cover. which I'll be showing that soon. I know good writer. Got great chat tonight. Daryl and Agent DeCamp and Kid Ragnarok. Hey, all you guys on here, hit me up. Go to my Facebook page or my Instagram at Wild Mercury Comics. Send me a link. Send me your emails, and I'll invite you guys next time I'm talking comics because, I got the movie review done. I got a good movie review. I got all that stuff good. But I could use some hosts on the show. I want to talk about indie comics. I want to talk about artists. I want to talk about all kinds of good stuff. But again, sum it up. Writers, stop being rock stars. Okay. Stop being rock stars. Please let the artists take the main stage. You just sit back and you do the words. Let them do the fancy eye-catching. Let them write the hooks. You put the rhythm down. You be the drummer or the bass player. And by the way, I'm a bass player. Not that it's not important, but I also sing. But the thing is you need to let the stars take the stage and drive the band. You just put the rhythm down, let the artist be the star. I dream of a world where next year I see a solicitation by Marvel and DC, or I see something on Instagram or Twitter and it says, "Oh, John Byrne's new X-Men run." I'm fucking dreaming. You know why John Byrne's not working for Marvel? Because he's had enough of their bullshit, and because he's fucking John Byrne. He is a rock star. You know why Rob Liefeld is under contract for Marvel, and he just does, some X-Force shit and Cable and Deadpool every now and then? Because he's a fucking rock star. Daryl's favorite artist, Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane will never, ever go back to Marvel because he's a fucking rock star. And by the way, I wish he'd quit Image too. I wish he'd just be like Spawn World and be his own man. Because guess what? Image is turning into Marvel and DC slowly but surely. Okay? The Warren Ellis shit last week was stupid. Daryl is the biggest Todd McFarlane fan. It's just self-evident in all our conversations. But again, writers, Tom King, Donny Cates. And by the way, I like Donny Cates. Donny Cates is a good writer. I can say I love some of his stuff. Love most of his stuff. But he ain't drawing the shit. So until you draw the shit, you're just a writer. Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman started this roller coaster of crap where we all of a sudden we value writers more than. That's okay, Daryl. You're allowed your opinion. Art is subjective. The 4 people watching this, the people chatting, you might all think I'm an asshole. I don't care. Go ahead. You have a right to your opinion. But I'm a writer, artist, musician. So I know of what I speak, and I'm not pretentious about it because I don't really give a fuck. You know when people aren't pretentious? When they don't give a fuck. So when I'm at the Daytona Beach Convention or the Volusia Convention or the MegaCon, and I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of writers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm the publisher, creator, writer of this comic, and here are all my characters." And then I say, "Well, who draws the book?" "Well, he lives in Brazil, and who's your inker?" She lives in Spain." "Who's your letterer?" "Oh, they live in Alaska." "Who's your editor?" "Oh, they're in Canada somewhere." You know what? Fuck off. Stop writing checks and start writing books and drawing. You know what? That's it. That's the way I feel. you're not a rock star. You know, and when people I apply and I submit to, and again, it's not jealousy. I'm laying it out there. When you're sitting at a convention, you have a whole bunch of people there, and they're like, "Well, I'm a guest artist, and I've had 4 years, and these are all my books." And I look at all the books, and all you're credited with is script. Wow, you know what? My 12-year-old can write a better script. And you know what? Donnie Cates is good, and he does have room for improvement, but don't we all? But here's the reason why I like Cates, and I'll walk this back a little bit. The reason I like Cates is Cates reminds me of classic Roy Thomas and Stan Lee, especially in his cosmic stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff he did with Thanos, the stuff he did with Silver Surfer Black, especially. If no one's read that and they're like, "Oh, I fucking hate Marvel," go read it. All right, it's like 4 issues. Silver Surfer Black and Thor. By the way, his current run on Thor was fantastic. Okay, but when issue 14 came around and he stopped writing Venom, and they charged me $9.99 for a Donny Cates written scripted Venom story that was 70% of people sitting at a diner table and sitting in a doorway talking to each other. You know what? Screw you. I'm never buying another Venom comic. I'm not buying another Thor comic. And you know what? Yeah, Donny Cates is going to write the Hulk because him and Al Ewing switching or whatever. Guess what? I ain't reading the Hulk. If I want to read the Hulk, I'll read some like 1978 Hulk. Okay? Or I'll go read some Peter David Hulk. Or you know what? Maybe I'll go read some Dale Keown drawn Hulk. Not Todd McFarlane, though. I like Dale Keown's Hulk the best. Gary Frank's Hulk with Peter David was okay too. It was kind of weird. I miss Doc Samson. I miss all those classic Hulk stories from the late 70s. I also miss when Hulk was stupid all the time, when he only said like 2 or 3 words. And you know what my favorite Hulk was? My favorite Hulk was when he was in the Defenders, the late 70s Defenders. It was like the Hulk just sitting in a living room with Valkyrie, the original Valkyrie, and Nighthawk and all that stuff. Agent de Camp, I missed out on the Immortal Hulk. Everyone told me it was great, but I missed the first 5 or 6 issues, and I just never got into it. I hear it's great, you know, and I hear it's like a real horror thing, and more power to you. But again, I looked at Alex Ross covers, which made me pick up the book, and then when I opened the book, I saw the interior art, and I'm like, nah, I'm not interested. So again, the carpet needs to match the drapes sometimes. When I see a cool cover, and I think, wow, I hope the inside's even half as good. And when it's not even a tenth of good, that sounds stupid. I'm speaking like Daryl writes. You know, it's not worth picking up to me. I hope you enjoy it. But that's the way the ball rolls here in comic book land. Anyway, I got a lot of work to do tonight. I got a lot of drawing to do. I'm trying to catch up on my book so I can put it out on time. This whole conversation came about because I was thinking about my conversation about Warren Ellis. I was thinking about Rob Liefeld's X-Force 1. And then I was thinking about what a big mouth Dan Slott had when he said, "Oh, it's not the top 2 book," and blah, blah, blah. Kid Ragnarok, you're right. I've never been a fan of that bait and switch with covers. You're totally right. It's like, I don't understand. Like, I would love to have enough money to start my crowdfunding campaign for Misty America 1 with a Rob Liefeld cover, or a Greg Capullo cover, or a Tim Vigil cover, or a cover by anybody, like who's well known and loved. But you know what's funny? When you have those covers, it's like people are just buying them for the covers. It's like, oh, I got this Art Germ Lau, whatever the fuck his name is. Oh, I got these painted covers, this airbrush fucking Alex Ross manga style covers. Okay, great. I think he's a good cover artist. but he doesn't do sequential art. And and then that's it. And that, and that's why Agent DeCamp's gonna pick this up when it comes out, because this action scene with Misty America and her commandos, that's gonna be what the book's about. I'm not bragging, but I know dude, I'm an old dude. I want action. Lights, camera, action. That's what Rockstars want. They don't want people sitting on a couch talking to each other. Damn straight, everybody on the chat tonight. You guys made my night. You guys have inspired me to finish coloring one of my covers tonight. Setting up my mastheads just right, so I could start showing those off. Going to be working on penciling 8 pages between now and this time next Tuesday. I have a nice work schedule. Gonna work all day, come home, draw some pages, and go from there. And next week, at the end of next week, I'm gonna I was gonna launch Misty America on Indiegogo with a big campaign on July 4th, but I noticed that Sunday, July 4th. But 2 things: I'm doing a goddamn stream with this guy, Simply Incredible Podcast, and a bunch of other cats on Sunday night. And then I actually have the day off from work Sunday, 4th of July. So I'm actually going to spend some time with my family, believe it or not. My son, my lovely wife. I'm going to cook some hot dogs on the grill, maybe have a beer or 2, maybe some baked beans, Publix potato salad. Sounds good. That's my 4th of July. And then right after the 4th of July, the week of the 4th of July, that next week, I'm going to get an Indiegogo campaign launched with Misty America. I'm going to maybe get an email list, or I might just launch it. Very modest goal, $1,000, $2,000 maybe. I don't know, maybe $500. When I do that, we're going to go from there. Also, as Agent DeCamp knows, there's some people on YouTube, some indie writers, creators that are definitely going to be doing some campaigns starting that same day, like selling toys and shit. Much bigger audience than me. Yes, Daryl, of course I'm going to let you know. And of course you're a good friend of mine anyway. In fact, what's nice is almost everybody on here is a personal acquaintance, friend of mine. I really, really, really love the conversation you guys are having with me. It's good to know that you're not alone in the world sometimes. I don't believe in tribalism and having to belong to a group, but it's nice to have a community of gentlemen of a certain age group that that really know what they're talking about. No barbed wire clips tonight, sir. But although that would be good. But this is Anthony Sika, publisher of Wild Mercury Comics, creator, writer, artist of Oh My God and Venerella and Martian Law and Misty America debuting. It's not debuting next week. I'm coming out with a crowdfunding campaign. Whether I hit my goal or not, I'm still going to print the book, and I will be sending it out to backers in late August. And then I'll be premiering or debuting, the book at a show in September 18th and 19th, the Daytona Comic Convention. I hope I'll see Agent DeCamp there and all my local friends at that convention. And maybe, Kid Ragnarok, you're waiting for Martian Law, aren't you? Aren't you? Waiting for Martian Law. Kid Ragnarok wants the Martian Law because Kid Ragnarok is quite the Judge Dredd fan. So I told him my elevator pitch for Martial Law. Kid Ragnarok, if you're who I think you are on YouTube right now, I haven't sent you issue 6 of Oh My God yet, have I? I'll hit you up on Instagram and make sure I have your address again, because I know I owe you an issue 6 of Oh My God. Anyway, with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, I got a night of drawing to do, and thank you for joining me. Please tell your friends about my channel. I know tonight wasn't that exciting, but usually it is. Um, um, you know, no, but I'm in the process of moving, so all is good. Okay, well, do me a favor then, Kid Ragnarok. Please message me when you've moved, and then I'll be able to hook you up, and I'll make you aware when Misty America goes live with its crowdfunding. Okay, I like all you guys here. Thank you very much. This is Anthony Sika, Wild Mercury Comics, signing out. Have a good night, and hey, it's Tuesday, so eat them tacos.